And welcome to another Red Leaf or Retrocast episode. It's episode 108. Cinematic story games is the theme today. It was my theme pick. I am JD, joined by Joey and Colin. Welcome back, guys.
Hey.
In a world where video games rule supreme, Colin is here to comment on the older ones. I made that up off the top of my head. I felt like it needed felt like it needed a dramatic voiceover at one point, since we're doing cinematic stuff.
Yeah, so I picked however long ago it was just cinematic games in general. And one thing I've had in the back of my mind was these group of games where it features heavy amounts of cutscenes, dialogue, and really focuses on a deeper story and narrative. And two games in particular that we'll be covering, I think, encompasses what a lot of modern games kind of take part of. You think of the Uncharted series. I just played Dead Space with heavy cutscenes and action, and everything's told through more dialogue than the actual game in... at least in the AAA sense, and I think these two games kind of really started that trend into two. I want to say the same era, but one was the kind of innovator of it, and then the other perfected it more for what I think we come to know now as these cinematic story games.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my thought going over this. But man, there's a lot of news to talk about. A lot of discussion. So 2 weeks ago, we talked about Microsoft buying Bethesda a little bit, or maybe that was a month ago. And turn around, Sony has bought Bungie, of all companies. I think that's pretty wild. It's not unheard of, but it's kind of funny that people were making fun of the fact that Crash Bandicoot and company, which hasn't been PlayStation exclusive since 1999, but they were making fun of it, and to turn around and now see the company that pretty much put Xbox on the map as a console is now under Sony's, I won't call it rule, because I believe they came out and said it's still going to be the same multi-platform kind of company at this point. Any thoughts, guys?
What does Bungie actually have now?
Destiny
2?
Destiny, that makes us buttload of money.
I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Bungie is a far cry from what they were.
Well, hopefully the way Sony kind of operates their first party, I guess culture, I'll call it, can change a lot of that. They have at least a better track record with buying companies than Microsoft. That's my thoughts. Colin, do you have any further thoughts, or no?
Not really. I don't play Destiny.
Okay.
I mean, but you said Microsoft bought Bethesda, they bought Activision, and they recently came out that said that they're looking at the staff and they're probably going to make changes.
Oh, yeah. They've bought both.
What I said they need to
They've bought both.
Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, they said they're going to be looking at the leadership. Hopefully they knock some heads and make some changes.
Yeah. Especially after Fallout 76.
Yeah, I meant to say Activision. My timeline's all messed up. But yeah, you're right, Joey. I agree. Did any of you watch the Nintendo Direct that happened on my birthday last week?
I did not.
Oh.
I didn't know it even happened.
Yes, there was a Nintendo Direct, and it kind of focused on all major titles that's coming out in this first half of the year, which is kind of interesting that they waited till February to do it. Why, I don't know why you wouldn't wait until or do it in January when it's the beginning of the year. But a lot of remakes of classic games, or at least updating them to modern standard of games that just never made it to the West. There was a game called Live to Live or something, which looked interesting. They got a release date for triangle strategy. So a lot of RPGs coming. Chrono Cross is getting a little update. So that I think would pique your interest, Colin.
Maybe. I mean, I have the original PlayStation version, but I haven't played it.
Ah, jeez. Klonoa is getting a kind of an update. I can't imagine it's going to be too different than the Wii version that came out, but what makes it interesting is the sequel, which is very hard to get, is going to be included with that. So that's where like my interest would lie, because I really liked the first Klonoa game and never played the sequel. That's exciting. Front Mission is getting a remake as well, so you get where I'm going with this. It's just a lot of... Come on, cat, move. Get out of here. He's causing trouble. All of this. But yeah, a lot of those games. Kirby is getting a full 3D adventure, which looked fun. I'm kind of hesitant on Kirby games these days. They're almost too easy. But
I think you just got better as a gamer.
Well, yes, but the Kirby games they're very much made for like 5-year-olds. Like absolutely, yeah. That's where they are. But it feels like at this point in the universe that maybe they can, I don't know, put a different mode in a Kirby game for older people that still like Kirby. Wow, just a thought. That was my thought, anyways. What else happened at the Nintendo Direct that peaked? Let's see. Yeah, the first Nintendo Direct, all things Nintendo. Mario Soccer's coming out. That got a lot of people. They're doing a complete, like, how do I call this? It's like a super booster pack with like 48 courses you can get with Mario Kart 8. So instead of coming out with a sequel, they're just like, here, spend $25 and here's like 50 courses. So I think that's kind of neat. One thing I cocked my eyes at a little bit, cocked my head, twitched my eyes, was the Kingdom Hearts. A couple Kingdom Hearts games are coming to the Switch, but not in the way you think. It's more in the way of you spend like $60 and it's via the cloud, like like the old PlayStation Now format.
Yeah, I think I saw something about that. That looked kind of dumb. I mean, you don't get to keep the copy? That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the danger behind these kinds of these ways of saying selling games, where instead of even a Netflix model, you're still paying full price, but you don't keep it. It's like, here, you can buy this stuff on iTunes, but as soon as iTunes, at any point, iTunes can just remove the song from its store and you don't have it anymore. It'd be something
literally
like that.
Happened with Google Music. Megan lost all of her music when they're like, oh, go to YouTube Music, it'll transfer. Nothing transferred. She tried multiple times, so she lost all the things she paid for on Google.
Ugh. See, that's the shit I'm talking about. Not good. Splatoon 3's coming out. I think I'm kind of over the Splatoon series unless they come out with a crazy single-player mode and make that better. But it's for huge multiplayer purposes at this point. So that's a bummer for me on Splatoon. I'm sure a lot of people are into it still. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is coming out, Colin. You better get on that. You got 3 other games to play.
I'm still playing 1.
I'm over Xenoblade. Absolutely over it. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was a complete miss for me, despite the gameplay being pretty good. The entirety of else of the game was just no thanks. Not anymore. Can't do it. What else? Looking at a whole bunch of other stuff here. No Man's Sky is coming to the Switch. Octopath Traveler: Champions of the Continent. I'm not sure what that was. I must have missed that one. Yeah, that's just a release on the... They're not like remaking it or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a sequel, this Octopath Traveler? Or is it just...
I think
it's a
like
prequel.
Oh, I thought it was a spiritual successor. The triangle strategy?
No, this is Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent. This is different.
Oh.
Triangle Strategy is a spiritual successor deal, but yeah, this says RPG, Enix, and Acquire, the game which serves as a prequel to the original Octopath Traveler. Sick. I'll probably get that. I loved Octopath Traveler. That shit was good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else we got?
And Did you mention Splatoon 3?
I did. Disney Speedstorm, a racing game. Nintendo Switch Sports. So Wii Sports is coming back, boys. That's about it. I think that's good. Yeah. So a pretty damn good Nintendo Direct for what they're going to do in the first half of the year. I still don't have a PS5, so my despair continues. That's just the world I live in these days. Joey, did you say you got like an Xbox One S or something?
No. Why would I get the S?
Oh, I don't know. Didn't you get an Xbox like new gen, or am I thinking of a different friend?
Not me. No. If I get one, I want to get one, but I don't want to get the S. So
You want the Super X?
I actually want one that's good.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even get the digital PS5. Like, even if I wanted one or said, screw it, I'll get that, I can't get that one, even. So it's like, I might as well just wait until I get lucky for a disc version.
At this point, I'm just going to get myself a Steam Deck and just forget about consoles.
Okay, explain to me the Steam Deck. I haven't looked into it at all.
It's pretty much a handheld computer. It runs on Linux, and you can play anything on your Steam library. There might be some hiccups with some older games, but most games should work on it.
I see. And how much is the Steam Deck going for?
The most expensive one's $650.
Okay.
And that one comes with, I think, half a terabyte of space. But they showed load times if you use micro SD cards. They're just slightly slower than the SSDs that are already in there. So you can always expand it with a micro SD if you need to. And from all the reviews, it seems pretty good.
Okay.
So I paid $5 to reserve one. Hopefully I can get one. I think it comes out the 22nd or something like that.
22nd of February?
Yes, I believe so. I think that's what I said.
Well, we will need a full Steam Deck review if you end up getting one.
Yeah, if I get one. But yeah, the only difference between the most expensive ones like anti-glare and a bigger size of the SSD, you can get a 128, a 256, or a 512.
Wow. Things. I hope it goes. What was the other thing that the Steam console that didn't do so well?
Yeah, well, that thing was like streaming when streaming wasn't really that great because your computer had to be on and it like connected to it. This thing will play it. It's like basically a computer itself.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. All right, games we've been playing. Colin, you have had any time, sir?
Some. I mean, mostly been playing Oendan like usual. I'm on the final level of the hardest difficulty, and let me tell you, it's kicking my ass. Bit by bit, I'm able to get through more and more of the level, but I'm still a long way from beating it. I played a bit of Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which I got for Christmas. So far, I'm liking it. It's pretty much just a graphical update of the original game, but that's all I need. And yes, I played a bit of Xenoblade last night.
You did? Oh, hold on. Got the drop. Okay, tell me about your Xenoblade experience.
I've finally reached the boss of the area that I was traversing up to now. And It kicked my ass for a bit. I did die twice, but I finally beat it. It's one of those bosses that you only had to do some damage, and then the story would beat it for you.
Oh, one of those. Okay.
Yeah, you need to do a specific sequence of actions to be able to do significant damage, and then the old dude would pilot this mech thing to knock the robot into the life stream. But there's that usual shit of the robot does the whole aliens thing and grabs a hold of like the ankle of the mech to try and drag the guy down with it. But then Shulk grabs a crane and saves the guy. And yes, you do save the little brother, but no one else because the robot ate them. And there's also
often
that
happens
usual
to my family members too. Yes. That's why I only have one brother. I'm sure you didn't know that about me, Joey.
Oh, I've heard tales of the other three.
Yeah. Yeah. You were lucky to save all of yours.
Yes, no robot's going to eat any of mine.
No.
And of course, there's that usual trope of, I saved this guy to be eaten for last because I need some appetizers first. In you. Just a way of explaining why he hasn't already eaten the kid.
It's been a while. Remind me, is there the shitty British voice acting in the original Xenoblade?
Yeah, I switched it to Japanese.
Yeah, you kind of got to do that. The British voice acting in that game is so horrible, and they're gonna bring it back for the third one. Yay!
Because of course they are.
I don't get it. Like it's one of the worst dialogue games I've ever experienced. Is this British Xenoblade voice acting? It's pretty bad.
But
and we played a game today with some pretty bad voice acting.
yeah, I switched that to Japanese too.
Oof.
Yeah, that's all I've been playing.
Joey?
So I was wrong about Steam Deck. Comes out the 25th. Had to look it up, okay? I even forgot this month is February. That's how terrible I am with dates. I played some Apex. New season came out, so I was playing some of that. And then I just started playing Lost Ark Friday.
Man, the whole Discord's
so
playing
far.
Lost Ark.
It's pretty fun. It's a decently fun MMO. So far, early levels is not very challenging, but I'm pretty sure it's going to get challenging once I hit max level and start grinding. But I'm having a lot of fun with it right now.
I think a lot of the fans would like to hear you go into detail about Lost Ark.
Well, I made the ugliest bard I could.
Okay.
She has butterfly wings as ears, naturally. So, you know, I'm just playing solo. So bard is pretty much higher end, going to be used for support. But I just do a massive amount of damage to multiple things. So I usually just round them up and then nuke them down. So I've been just rolling through the main quest. I haven't done too many side quests because I just want to get to the end content where most of the game's going to be. It's one of those games.
Oh, okay. So it's like
They have
it's like
lower level
Pokemon
stuff,
Silver, right? Gold and
Yeah.
Silver. The good
I mean,
games
there's a
at
lot
the
to
end.
do in the lower levels, but like most of it's going to be done at level 50 and trying to grind up more like gear levels and whatnot. So I'm just trying to get to that, and then I'll make some other characters to enjoy the low level stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm having fun with it. I think the bosses are cool. Story that I follow, I don't know if all the characters use the same story or if like the mages have a story and the warriors have a different one and then they all converge. But I'm having fun with it. Killing demons, mulling around, chopping some trees down, good times.
What's your favorite boss so far?
That's a good question. Probably the last demon I fought. I forget his name, but in the throne room. So that was pretty fun. And it kind of ends like with the story involved. So you don't really have to kill him. You get him down to a certain point, and then some story stuff happens.
God, what's with these games? You don't have to actually beat them. Okay. All right. I went to a PlayStation 5 release party. It's like every other month. various GameStops or Best Buys or something will just say, hey, we're going to get X amount of PS5s or Xbox One X's or whatever. Come on by over, and hopefully you can get in one and get there when the store opens. And people have finally stopped camping outside at this point in time, which is nice. So what I ended up doing was, because the GameStop opens at like 10 or whatever it is, and I just went over there like half an hour early. Get out of here, cat. What are you doing? Bad kitty. No. Ugh. Out of there. He's really into biting computer cords, and that's not good. It's not ideal.
Not at all.
I disagree. I think it's a very good thing.
So anyways.
Okay, that didn't land.
No. Well, my Alexa started going off, and my cat was like, who was that? So good distraction temporarily. What was I saying? I went to the PS5 like release thing, and I was the 9th person in line, and I was there. I got off work, and I was like, all right, I'm going to get a fucking PS5 today. This is good. This is great news. Because they go, we have 11. It's like, yes, I'm 9th. There's 11 of them. The math works. I'm so happy. I'm gonna buy Kenna Bridge of Spirits. I'm gonna buy Returnal. I have all this money that I've been saving for years to buy this thing. I get up the line, and they go, there was only 7.
Oh no!
I was like, you fuckers lied. And the owner of this particular GameStop, the GM, sold 3 of them to the first person in line.
Oh my god!
And then he miscounted. I was like, what? You can't do that. He goes, actually, we reserve the right to sell how many we can these days or whatever. I'm like, this doesn't sound right. And it's,
wow.
To my knowledge, it's the online, you can only purchase one or something. I don't know. The point is, I was very saddened. The journey continues. So I'll try again in March, I guess. Fuck. So, I've been playing a lot of Disco Elysium again. I love this game. It's a point-and-click adventure with a ton of amount of dialogue where the character can go between delving into absolute madness, drunken binging sprees, suffer communist thoughts, and it's a detective mystery. Joey, are you familiar with Disco Elysium?
No, not at all.
Okay. Colin?
Somewhat.
Yeah.
I haven't played it.
Yeah, I spoke very highly of it a couple years ago when it came out. I played and beat the hell out of the game. I had this urge to kind of play it again, mostly because I was very disappointed not getting my PS5, and then I come to find out that a copy is coming out on the Nintendo Switch for like $30, and I was like, here's $10, I will take that next month. So it was take my money immediately, because I want to play this game on the go, which is why the Nintendo Switch is my favorite new-gen console. Very useful. Okay, so you'll probably hear a lot more Disco Elysium starting next month, in more detail. I was just kind of dicking around and not shooting children, but let's just say the children aren't safe in this game. Not from me. These kids are dicks.
The kids aren't all right?
The kids are not right. They're never right. And if they question me, they will certainly not be right alive. Okay. Yes. Ha 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 ha. All right. I guess it's time to move on to our topic. Here we go. I got a little drop here. All right, what you just heard was Yakuza. It was a track from the Yakuza game. That's one of the 2 games we are going to talk about. And if you remember, it was a couple of years ago, I went on this incredible binge of playing essentially every single Yakuza game, including Judgment, and I loved every single one of those games except Yakuza 3. Did not like that one. And I've only played all the remakes, Kiwami 2, the remake trilogy that came out, and then of course the newer ones. And I was really into what the Yakuza series brings. It's very cinematic, it's very over the top, it's very video game. That makes sense. So there's also the anime coming out for Shenmue. Okay? More a coincidence, but I more like the idea is that we totally planned it this way. So I was like, okay, Shenmue anime is coming out. Let's discuss these two games, kind of compare and contrast to each other, and kind of just thinking about how modern games are, and this is kind of their origins. Let's begin with Shenmue. Came out in 1999 on the Dreamcast. And there was a remake that came out later. And when I say remake, it was more just like re-released. There's nothing remade about it except load times. Okay, so developed and published by Sega. The who is this guy? I think it's Yu Suzuki or who's the I forget the designer. Some dude. Point is, do I go into the plot, guys? Because it's like ridiculous.
Was there a plot? I kind of got lost.
Yeah, I don't blame you. All right, I'll just set up the plot for the beginning. That's the best way to do it for both these games, rather than go through the entire story. The main character is Ryo Hazuki, and his family has a dojo in which he witnesses his father get killed by a Chinese mafia guy right in front of his childlike eyes. And for the rest of the game, essentially, you are playing Kung Fu Detective, and you're walking around town trying to get clues to, where this black car came from, who the Chinese dude was, Lon D, I think that was his name. And over the course of the game, you essentially discover who these people are, because you want revenge for your father's killer. That's the short version. First question, guys. How long did you play before you finally went, I'm done?
I did 30 minutes, and then I tried to go through a Let's Play to see if there's any action.
Okay.
I didn't find any.
Colin?
I played like maybe an hour.
Okay.
I mean, Shenmue 1 and 2 were on sale for only $7 on PSN, so that worked out.
Oh, hey, how about that?
So I didn't have to shell out a ton of money for it, or have to buy a Dreamcast to play it.
Whoa, hey, come on. You don't want to go my route?
I'm too lazy to at this point in time.
Okay. I played 5 hours of this game.
Oh, man. You poor bastard.
5 whole hours. It's not worth it.
You poor bastard.
It's not worth it. You know what is worth it? What I ended up doing is watching a Let's Play where it was essentially only the major cutscenes. And they threw I first started watching like 2 of these Let's Players, but it was like full on blind playthrough, and I'm like, this ain't gonna work. I might as well be playing this. And then I found one that just said, this is a way better way to play the game, as in you just watch the story. And yeah, what makes that tough is the voice acting in this game is so primitive.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It's like they were reading the lines for the first time as they recorded it.
So,
like
funny you
random
mentioned
pauses.
that. Funny you mentioned that. That's exactly what happened. They were giving like they were all just like sent scripts. They were supposed to like record the audio, and they were given like one try. That was it.
Wow.
And then the audio was different in some conversations. It would just get randomly louder with one line and then quiet the next line. It was just so bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was all part of the audio gathering, and they figured we spent so much money on all these other parts of the game, the audio is gonna like take a backseat.
Which seems kind of dumb, since it's a cinematic game. You would think you want cinematic qualities of the game to be good.
You would think that. But they had to cut costs somewhere, because this was the most expensive game ever developed at the time.
Maybe they could have cut out all the arcade games they also put inside of it.
Well, there's a reason why all of those games are inside the game, Joey. Why you need billiards and I think Hang On was in it. I know Space Harrier was in it. You have to go to work and do shit with like forklifts and talk to every single NPC imaginable. Do you know why you have to and there's gotcha machines? Do you know why you have to have all that in the game, Joey?
Because there's nothing else.
It's because, and this is very key, as you're going through the world, everything is in accordance with the in-game clock. So there's a nice little clock in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And it's like, I want to say for every 20 minutes in real life, it's an hour in the game. I think that's what it came down to. And events and dialogue only happens at certain points in time. So if it says, for example, I want to find some sailors. Where can I find sailors? Well, you can find them at bars. Okay, when do bars open? 8 p.m. or whatever. Well, it's noon. Shit. What do I do until 8? Well, you go play pachinko, Space Harrier, walk around town, gotcha machines. Oh, look, it's 8 o'clock finally. That's why those things are in there. And it's might be one of the worst experiences I've ever had in gaming. It's so boring. It's so grindy. It's terrible. I hate it. I hate it so much, guys.
It's dull. I mean, sure, at one point, I was able to find a guy who would teach you a new martial arts move, but controls are so finicky, it was hard to actually pull off for the first time, and plus, with so little combat actually being in the game, if any, what's even the point?
Yeah, it took like, I think 3 hours to finally get to a real fight scene. Although, because everything before that were QuickTime events, which I think this was the first game to use QuickTime events. I'm probably mistaken there, but I can't think off the top of my head a game prior to 99 that had that.
It's me.
Yeah.
Looks like Final Fantasy was the first.
Which one?
Google. QuickTime events like Sequence was the Final Fantasy series in the 90s. In 1994, Final Fantasy 6.
Oh, are they talking about just? Oh, they're okay. Not the same QuickTime events. I think we're all thinking of where
modern QuickTime was Die Hard Arcade in 96, and
oh yeah, we did do that. You're right. That one's more close. Yeah.
It also does say Shenmue, so it seems like they might have pushed the more modern type thing.
Right. Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, Die Hard Arcade. Yeah. That would be. Yeah, absolutely. Funny enough, I had so much time until the next event. I live pretty close to a grocery store. I went and got some groceries and came back, and I still had like an hour to spare in the game before I had to go. I had to go do my little mission. It was terrible. And the mini games like aren't all that great either. Like the darts is terrible. You have no control over it. The hand just kind of drifts, and you just try to time it with the drift. So that's bad. The part-time job sequence with the forklift is like mind-numbingly. It's a test of much of your patience. Like, do you pull your hair out? Do you throw the controller down and say, "I'm not doing this"? It's quite the thing. Where the game, like, okay, put yourself in 1999 and you throw this game up. I could absolutely see, and I do remember this vaguely in school. One of my friends had a Dreamcast, and he got Shenmue, and he was just amazed. And I was trying to remember all the things he was telling me, and this was many years ago at this point. And he's like, "Yeah, you can like open all the drawers in the world and look at everything and talk to everyone, and just the sheer option to do all of that was enough." And that was the big selling point. So he said he spent like 2 hours just in the house, like looking at shit. Joey?
I didn't even realize any of that. I just went straight to the detective work.
Joey, did you do any of that?
I went to the kitty cat, and then I helped an old lady find a house.
Yeah.
Those are things you can do, yeah. Did you name the cat? Did you get that far?
No, I just looked at it in the box and fed it some fish. And then I was tired of the little girl.
Oh, God.
And I think helping the old lady made her walk further than the house was. Hey, go in that park. And she literally walks past the house that she wanted. Because, you know, I'm a good dude like that.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the whole cat sequence, I was just going, what is the point of this? Is there? No, there's not really any point to the cat at all. Other than to tell you that the cat was run over by the car, and someone else that helped the cat saw the car, so that you have to go find that person. I will praise the game for this, though. You don't necessarily have to find the exact person that can point you in the right direction. There's quite a number of different people that can do that. Unfortunately, the in-game map and how you can traverse different parts of the like little city area that you're going in, you have to like physically look, because everything's in Japanese. If you don't know Japanese, you have to physically look at the buildings, and then a little subtitle will come up showing you what the place is. So one of the more difficult things that I was pulling my hair out to was finding like the red light district, and it's really just this one bar, and that triggers a quick time event, and you go in the bar and you fight some dudes playing billiards. No, am I mixing the two up? Whatever. Point being, get in a fight, and if you don't know where this little alleyway is, you're just gonna run past it over and over again, like I did. It's pretty absurd.
Yeah, I didn't get that far.
Yeah. I might finish the story portion of Shenmue, because obviously the huge improvement you can make is just going through the game at your pace, not the game's pace. And there's a reason why games don't do what Shenmue does, is the real world game clock, and you're at the mercy of that game clock. Games don't do that. If they do, people lose their minds. It's like, hey, I just want to play the story. Hey, I've done some side quests. I think it's time I want to move along and play the main section. This one, you can't do that. Yeah. You just absolutely can't do that. The only advantage that you have in this is you can go to bed seemingly past a certain time, and if something like happens in the morning, at least you can least you could pass the time that way. That's really the fastest way to do that. Otherwise, you're just going around playing mini games, practicing your martial arts for the cutscenes, and the actual fighting scenes are trash. I hate it because the controls are they're so archaic and primitive. And that was a major criticism when the remakes were coming out, was sure the controls are a little better, but mostly people wanted this game clock to just go away, essentially. And when Shenmue 3 came out, it was like this game came out all over again in 1999, and nobody wanted that. So yeah, because it cost so much, and despite selling, I think it was like 1.2 million copies or something. Yeah, that's a financial failure.
Yeah.
Anyways, I fail this game pretty easily, which is a shame.
Yep, I fail it too.
Definitely fail it.
I mean, I can see what they were trying to do with the whole in-game clock thing. I mean, they want to make it more immersive, get us to be more in the shoes of the main character.
Right. Yes.
But there is such a thing as wasting the player's time.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree.
Also,
with
the
that.
character facial animations are so weird. It's like only the mouths move and nothing else.
It is 1999. I do forgive.
Yeah.
I do forgive a lot of things in this game, and I do praise a lot of things too. The day and night system, I think, is pretty cool. The weather effects are pretty rad. The sheer amount of NPCs, the way dialogue with characters can change due to certain points of the day and night, and who they point you to changes. Like, all of that is very innovative. In terms of time and innovation spent, this is it's a game a decade ahead of its time, essentially. But like you said, Colin, when you just kind of sit there and you're just petting a cat, you go, oh, what's the cat's name? We're trying to find my father's killer. I don't give a shit about this fucking cat. Like, what are we doing here?
Oh, man.
Can you point me in the direction of the 3 blades? The 3 blades? How do you know? It was told to me by an old man over at the ramen shop. Ah, yes, the 3 blades. 1. So, and they just repeat themselves constantly. You're like, oh. Yeah. You probably.
I don't think even Danganronpa was that bad.
Well, it kind of, yeah. Oh yeah, I stopped playing Danganronpa 2. Oops. Forgot I was playing that for a little bit.
Well, the Game Grumps just finished the second trial.
Only the second trial? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh no. All right. I was because I was playing it along with them, and then I just kind of. I think it's because they stopped. I stopped, and then I guess they're back now. Okay.
Yeah, it's like an every other day thing now.
Yeah. Oh, Joey, question.
Answer.
Have you ever seen Video Game Donkey's thing on Shenmue?
Oh, I don't remember, but now that you said it, he did make one on it, didn't he?
He made, I believe, 2 of them. He made one over Shenmue 3, and then he made one over the remakes of 1 and 2.
Oh, no wonder why this game looks so familiar.
Yeah. I looked him up before the podcast to see if he made the same jokes I did, and the forklift scene is fucking hysterical. It's like, I'm putting this fucking box in the right place. Why won't you take the box, game?
Oh man.
I was wondering why this game looks so familiar. Now I know why. Yes, I did watch his videos.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So the game lasts 22 hours. It's insane. If you have, I did try this, and this made it way better, is there's a guide someone put out on GameFAQs, and you can find it on other sites too, where it's like, I don't want to, how do I phrase it? It's it's like the most conservative way to play the game without wasting your time. So it's like, okay, I got to go do this. Well, it takes 2 hours. Okay, this is you go to this point in time and you can practice your martial arts. Like it spelled the game out in a way where it was trying to make it fun and interesting. So I started playing it that way, and that was a little better. But there are still quite a few things where it's just like unforgivable. How much is this game going for these days? Shenmue. Because I was playing this on the original Dreamcast. It's going for $20, so not that expensive. Or you can get the 1 and 2 remake on modern consoles for much cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the load times? They're not great, but I forgive it because it's 1999. I don't really have much complaints over the load times. It made sense. Nice little cutscene though. Once it hits like 7 o'clock and it triggers nighttime and the nighttime life, it's like bing bong, bing bong, and then it shows the city. Night has come over. Aw. Although I watched the Let's Play and they go, what the fuck was that? It's just like, oh, that was nice, I think. It's so random when you first see it. So we all failed it, just to recap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The next game, I think, was way better. And that was the original Yakuza game. Yakuza, developed and published by Sega. Hey, we're Sega. We're a Sega podcast. Little did you know. Released in Japan 2005, came out a year later in 2006. This is touted as the spiritual successor to Shenmue, as in it's a cinematic story. You go across a city, and the story goes... You follow Kazuma Kiryu. He's a Yakuza, and his life changes when his boss, Dojima, attempts to... well, not to beat around the bush, he's gonna rape his childhood friend. And Dojima is murdered, actually, by Kiryu's best friend and fellow Yakuza, Nishikiyama. And Kiryu basically accepts the murder and he goes away for 10 years in jail. So Kiryu's expelled from the Yakuza group that he's in. Yumi is missing. And there's also a shit ton of money that's been stolen from the Yakuza group. So Kiryu wants to, of course, find Yumi, kind of see what happened to all of his old acquaintances. And as you traverse the city, it's this secret backhanded plot, and you're not quite playing detective, but series of events will happen due to your actions throughout the game, just kind of getting... It's not a butterfly effect situation. It's more of the concept of wrong place, right time, always with this guy, as the Yakuza group plot unravels and mysteries get solved, essentially, plot-wise. Where it's just like Shenmue is, over the course of the city, there's a lot of side shit to do. You have card games, a batting cage, there's claw crane games, there's a cabaret club you can kind of go in and date women and help them out with their cabaretness. It's got a map much like in the vein of Grand Theft Auto, with the circle at the bottom left to kind of guide you through streets of the city. And you travel the whole city by foot. And you will get stopped randomly by various dudes around the city, and you fight them 1v whatever, just like in Shenmue, when it wasn't QuickTime events. And there are QuickTime events in this game as well. So there is a lot of similarities to Shenmue, at least from a kind of core base section of certain things that carries over. And the controls aren't as fluid as the remastered Kiwami series that I played a couple of years ago. This got rough at times, but from voice acting to music to the plot unveiling, and you can do much of the game at your own pace, like most of it. You could go back to a number of episodes from the last year or two and just hear me just constantly praise the Yakuza series and how much fun I have with them. I'm more curious about what you guys thought of the story, the gameplay, everything. Colin, you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, I confess I was unable to find a cheap copy of this game on PS2, so I
What
ended
about
up playing...
Kiwami?
Yes, I was just going to say, I got that on my PS4 instead.
Good. Yeah, my curiosity for my sake was seeing how the PS2 game holds up, since I have played the whole series before.
Yeah. I mean, I like that the game doesn't waste any time getting straight into the plot. And the plot's very interesting. I mean, I only got as far as when Kiryu gets out of jail, but what we saw up to that point was pretty interesting, and with all the different fights that happen over the course of it, it serves as the tutorial on top of setting the stage for the big overarching plot. Yeah, as I was playing, I went online to see what the differences were plot-wise, and it seems like there were a few scenes added in here and there just to like flesh out the story and the characters a little better. And plus the gameplay seems to be more polished. I mean, it felt a bit stiff in comparison to something like Batman Arkham Asylum, but that came out years after Yakuza, so I can't fault it for that. And I like being able to use environmental objects like bicycles or motorbikes in combat. Reminds me of Double Dragon and River City Ransom.
Yeah, that was a really cool thing. You can just pick up random shit depending on what part of the city you're in, like giant traffic cones and whatnot. Just pummel people with them.
Yeah. And I like the sense of humor of the game. Like at one point Kiryu loses a ring that he was going to give to his childhood friend as a birthday present, then goes to the pawn shop to try and buy it back. But the guy won't give it to him, so he has to borrow money from his other friend. And the whole time, that friend thinks he's using it for a call girl. He's like, wow, she must be really amazing. Maybe I should check her out. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it's not a game that takes itself too serious at times. It puts a lot of comedic elements, very very Japanese humor at times. Shenmue has like none of that. It's just super uber serious all the fucking time.
Yeah. And as I understand it, games like Yakuza 0 go even further.
I mean, there's the character Majima. I don't know if you ever saw Majima, but he's the dude with the eye patch who's just over the top, and he's hunting Kiryu, and you find him at random parts in the city. And you guys fight.
I don't think... I might have fought him once that one time, but he didn't have an eye patch. I don't know, maybe not. It's just this wacko dude cornering him in the alley, and then he fights off the goons, and then... I don't know, I don't remember too much of that scene.
Yeah. Joey. Give me your Yakuza thoughts.
I mean, it's better than Shenmue.
Oh, okay. Yes, I agree.
But these games aren't really my cup of tea, so I still find them boring. If I wanted to play a story, I'd rather just watch it.
Sure, that's a very common critique of these kinds of games. Absolutely.
And I like that when you got into fights with like 100 people surrounding you, they were nice enough to fight you one-on-one. So, you know.
Well, yeah.
One at a
come on,
time.
Joey. There is honor among thieves.
I mean, voice acting in this is way better. But I mean, it just was boring me most of the time. I just really didn't care about the story. So, I mean, the game is nicely made, but it's just not for me.
Okay, well, that's fair. That's fine. The game did sell pretty well, considering it sold over 1 million units. The problem is it didn't sell well enough in the US, which is why they ended up dropping the entire dub for future games. And that's what led to only the Japanese voice acting to be in subsequent games. So I found that little part interesting. It's like, you sold well enough, but not well enough where we got to pay all these actors. Because they used a bunch of Hollywood-type actors for the dub of this first Yakuza game. I found that interesting. Let's see. So you guys didn't get very far, but I definitely say I really enjoy what so what the game was able to do well was the kind of so it's a fictional setting of Kamurocho, but there's so much similarities to like the real life area of that part of Japan, and it really puts in a lot of perspective on culture in Japan for certain groups, and they do tongue-in-cheek a lot of it, but you can just in various points of the city of the series, not just this first one, is like it touches on idol culture and how just ridiculous and underhanded it is, how the Yakuza groups are part of it, Yakuza groups strong-arming local businesses out of things, just simple things like protection money or being part of different groups coming in and trying to take over. There's even a lot of just culture of the Yakuza in general, which I found quite interesting, especially from Western eyes, where we just think of like the mafia and Al Capone and those kinds of things. And this is a totally different world to what organized crime is like. That's where I found it a good chunk super intriguing to learn. Anyways, let's see. We talked about the battle system. What about traversing the city? Did you wish that there was maybe quicker options to go through the city at times?
You mean you didn't like just running everywhere?
It wears on me from time to time, because in future games you can like take taxis to other points of the city, and it's much quicker, and obviously the load times are way faster. So I did find myself in this original series going, is it quicker to try to do the taxi fast travel, or because the load time is kind of long that I could probably just make it there running? There's a lot, especially when I've played these before, there's a lot of kind of mundane tasks that I got to do, which wore on me a little bit. So I think it's because I'm so used to the remakes now. It's very tough to go back to the original in a game like this, where the controls aren't as good, load times aren't as good. There's just a lot of things against it with modern eyes. But I remember seeing this game a lot in stores as a kid, and it never like occurred to me that I'd like it. I don't know what it was. I think it was the cover, and I just didn't know what the game was. I never saw it in any of the magazines I was getting at the time. So it's definitely something I would have liked to have as a kid, and I think I would have liked it way, way more, for sure. This would have been right up my alley.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm passing Yakuza.
Yep, I pass it too.
I'm a fail it.
Ooh, Joey don't like it.
What?
Joey don't like it. You don't like these games.
Like it.
So Yakuza, interesting enough, there was a time when it was getting to like $40 to $60 online. I think that was like 4 or 5 years ago. But now it's back down to like $20. You can get Obviously, you could get the Kiwami series for like 10 to 20 these days, which is pretty damn good. Kiwami runs a lot longer. It's about, I would say, anywhere from 17 to 30 hours, depending on how much you want to fuck around. But for this one on the PS2 version, it's like 15 to 20. So it just depends on how much you want to play the game. With the remakes, they added a ton more stuff that you can do. So just kind of keep that in mind as you go through the games. Do I recommend the original? Loosely, if you're into super retro stuff. Maybe if you're listening to this podcast, you are. If you're into the super retro stuff and you really like the series, it did open my eyes to quite a few things, which I was very surprised about. However, I think you'll be better pressed to just kind of play the Kiwami games for sure.
Yeah.
Is there too many cutscenes? Do they go on too long? Yeah, that's a very common critique with this series and these style of games. There's no doubt about that. I mean, you could go 30 minutes to an hour without, playing anything. You're just watching cutscenes and dialogue. And I believe the Shenmue series. I know we made fun of Death Stranding with the last part of the game being like 2 hours of nothing. It was just you're watching a movie.
Yeah.
I think Shenmue has some sort of wacky thing where it's like 30 minutes of you're just sitting there watching the terrible voice acting go. I don't recall if that's correct, but I think I remember reading that. So, yeah, we played Shenmue and Yakuza. Joey, what are your grades?
Oh, what are my grades? Yakuza, I'm going to give it a B, even though I failed. I
Okay.
think the game was still nicely made. Shenmue, I'm going to give it a D.
Ooh, a D for Shenmue. Colin, what do you got?
I give Yakuza a high B.
Okay.
And Shenmue a D.
Also a D. I'm giving Yakuza an A. I'm going to be definitely higher on it than you guys. But for Shenmue, it's so hard for me to justify anything lower than a D. So it doesn't get F because it did innovate a lot of things, but the game itself is incredibly boring. It just does not hold up to modern eyes. And I think that's not a bad way, I think, to judge things sometimes. Some things just don't hold up. And when they need to be remade, they need to actually be remade and not just ported. So yeah, I'm sticking with a D with you guys too. I guess that makes a B and a D. Just very solid. We'll round down for Yakuza. I think Yakuza is a little bit better than that, but hey. We're talking about a cinematic game from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Our next theme in the next episode is Colin's pick. It's all in the mind. Very excited for that one. Got a couple good games we're going to be talking about on that cast. And then it's back to Joey's pick. See what he picks in a month's time. Guys, this was fun. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye now.